Okay, picture this. Dawn breaking, maybe some mist. You see the gleam of polished armor. A samurai draws his katana, that whisper of steel. And the sun catches the blade. Then you hear those deep temple bells in the distance. It's powerful stuff.
It really is.
And you know, it's not just some cool movie scene. This was real. A whole class of warriors living and yet dying by this incredibly strict moral code. They weren't just swordsmen. They were like living philosophies.
That's a great way to put it. Living philosophies.
So let's unpack this today. Bushido.
Yeah.
Literally the way of the warrior, right? But it was so much more than rules for fighting. It was a whole system for living.
Exactly. A complete framework.
So in this deep dive, we want to pull out the core ideas of Bushido, look at its history, those 7 virtues everyone talks about, and honestly figure out how it's still maybe surprisingly relevant for us trying to navigate, well, this modern life.
Yeah.
Our mission really is to give you a shortcut. A way to get properly informed about this profound way of thinking, maybe find some clarity.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is something we often forget today. The samurai understood that power without principle, it's empty, hollow.
Right.
True strength for them came just as much from a still mind, a clear conscience, as from a sharp sword. And Bushido didn't just appear, you know, it was this blend.
A blend of what?
Well, you have the discipline of Zen Buddhism, the sort of ethical clarity from Confucianism, and then that deep reverence for nature, for ancestors, from Shinto.
Okay.
So it wasn't just a combat manual. It was a blueprint for living with integrity, every single. The real battle, the one that mattered most, that was internal.
The inner battle. I like that.
Sharpening your character, you know, like a smith sharpens a blade.
Yeah.
Meticulously.
That's a powerful image. But like you said, it didn't just appear fully formed. Bushido evolved, right? Over centuries of Japanese history. How did it actually become so central? Especially when, you know, the fighting eventually stopped.
That's the crucial question, because its evolution is key to why it lasts. Think about Japan, way back, late Heian period, maybe 11th, 12th century.
Okay.
The whole power structure is shifting from this refined imperial court, all poetry and art, to military power really taking over, exercised by these warriors, the bushi or samurai.
Right, the samurai.
Yeah. And back then, honestly, their focus was pretty practical. Martial skill, loyalty to your boss, your lord. No big formalized code yet. It was about survival, direct service.
Makes sense.
But then fast forward through centuries of conflict, Kamakura, Muromachi eras, just constant warfare. It forged the samurai, absolutely. But it also showed them something.
What's that?
That raw strength, blind loyalty, it just led to chaos, self-destruction even. They realized skill with a sword wasn't enough. You needed principles to guide that power, something more.
Ah, okay, so the chaos taught them.
Precisely. Then you get the Edo period, early 1600s. Tokugawa shogunate brings peace along.
Right. The wars basically stop.
Exactly. And suddenly the samurai's role changes dramatically. They become administrators, teachers, moral leaders, but a warrior without a war.
Yeah.
Well, they still need a purpose, right?
Yeah, what do you do all day?
And Bushido became that purpose. It transformed into this profound guide for living with honor, discipline, clarity. Even when your sword was mostly just for show, it became less about how to fight and much more about how to live well, how to lead.
So it adapted to peace.
It had to. And it soaked up those philosophies we mentioned. Shinto, respect for nature, harmony. Zen Buddhism, quiet mind, present, accepting that things change, they're impermanent.
That acceptance of impermanence feels
Hugely important. And Confucian ethics, loyalty, duty, proper relationship. These weren't separate tracks. They merged, became this moral compass for everyday life. Whether you were running a castle or just dealing with your family, it was as much about restraint as action.
Wow.
And that whole shift, it holds a really powerful lesson for us now.
How?
Well, most of us aren't facing death on a battlefield. Our fights are, well, they're mental, emotional, moral.
Right.
We're drowning in information, distractions, confusing values.
Tell me about it.
Without some kind of personal code like a modern Bushido, it's so easy to just drift, to follow the path of least resistance. The samurai in peacetime needed Bushido to stay grounded.
Right.
We need something similar to cut through the noise today.
So it forces you to ask.
Exactly. What do I actually stand for? Especially when nobody's looking. What's my, internal constitution? And the real insight isn't that a code restricts you. It actually frees you, gives you that framework for clear, decisive action.
An internal constitution. I really like that phrase. It's clear Bushido was way more than just rules for warriors. It was like a whole operating system for life.
Yeah, that's a good way to think.
So to really get it, we need to dive into those 7 core virtues. Which one, if you had to pick, is the absolute foundation? The one where if you pull it out, the whole thing kind of wobbles.
Oh, that's a great question. For me, I think it has to be rectitude. Gi, pronounced gi.
Key.
It's the moral backbone, that unwavering commitment to doing what's right. And for the samurai, it wasn't just knowing the difference between right and wrong. Anyone can do that. It was having the guts, the conviction to live by it, even if it cost you everything.
Okay, so right from wrong sounds simple, but how did they take you, Cuckoo? beyond just following rules. You said it was a personal responsibility.
That's the core of it, yeah. Justice wasn't just for the lords or the courts to figure out. It was deeply personal. You couldn't just say, oh, I was just following orders. That didn't fly.
No.
None. Rectitude meant doing the right thing, especially when it was hard. Telling the truth when a lie is easier. Refusing to do something unethical. Walking away from a shady deal, even if it meant defying your superiors or, risking your life. It was about being the standard yourself.
Can you give an example?
Sure. The classic one is the story of the 47 Ronin. Lord Asano, their master, is unjustly forced to commit seppuku, ritual suicide.
Right, I know that.
Because he struck a corrupt official. His retainers, these 47 Ronin, masterless samurai, they spend 2 years planning revenge. They knew carrying it out meant their own deaths too. But for them, that was the ultimate act of ji, correcting a huge moral wrong, whatever the personal cost.
Wow. That's commitment.
Or think about Yasugi Ken, famous warlord, known for being honorable. His big rival, Takeda Shingen, gets cut off from salt supplies by another enemy. Kenshin, even though they're at war, tells his own merchant, go sell salt to Shingen's people.
Seriously? To his enemy?
Yeah. He supposedly said something like, wars are fought with swords and spears, not with salt and rice. It shows that sense of fairness, of righteousness, even towards a rival. That's ji in action.
So for us today, ji isn't just about following the law.
It's about building that internal constant, making it dictate your actions even when the rules are fuzzy or it's just inconvenient. And living by it frees you. No more second guessing. You have this inner compass. Your integrity, at the end of the day, that's your most valuable asset by ji.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so if gi is the backbone, then courage, you pronounced you. That's got to be its partner, right?
Absolutely. Hand in glove.
Knowing what's right doesn't mean much if you don't have the strength to actually do it. But how did the samurai view courage? Was it just about charging into battle, or was it different from just being reckless?
Oh, that's a key distinction. True you was never reckless. It was calculated, purposeful. It came from deep preparation, understanding the risks, and then acting anyway because the cause demanded it.
Calculated bravery. I like that.
Yeah. And Zen Buddhism played a huge role here. That acceptance of impermanence we talked about. It meant they saw death not as something to dread, but as inevitable. A natural part of life. And paradoxically, that freed them up to act with real clarity. Not fearlessly, maybe, but they accepted fear. It was a companion, not a master. They wouldn't let it dictate their choices.
So not fearless, but fear managed.
Something like that, yeah. Think of Takeda Shingen again. Brilliant strategy. At one battle, Kawanakajima, he's massively outnumbered. Instead of panicking, he calmly maneuvers his troops into this defensive formation, forces the enemy into a narrow spot where their numbers don't count as much.
Smart.
Took immense courage, right? Not just facing danger, but doing it with discipline, patience. A calculated risk that totally changed the battle. Or Torimotoda.
Who was he?
Loyal guy under Tokugawa Ieyasu, held Fushimi Castle for 10 days against impossible odds. He knew it was a suicide mission. His courage was accepting because the bigger goal buying time for his lord required it.
Wow, it's heavy.
And that calculated bravery has a lesson for us. True courage isn't not feeling fear, it's integrating. Understanding that our biggest risks today are often internal. Risk of being misunderstood. Risk of failure. Risk of standing alone for what you believe in. The samurai insight. By accepting life's impermanence, we can act with integrity anyway. The only real loss is giving up your principle. It's about pushing your comfort zone, choosing integrity over just fitting in, even if you're the only voice saying, wait a minute.
That really reframes courage. It's not just for heroes, it's for everyday decision. Okay, so we have rectitude, shame, and courage, standing firm, acting bravely. But what stops that power from becoming, cruel? That brings us to benevolence. That's Jin.
Jin, yes, the soul of Bushido, some call it.
It seems almost contradictory, doesn't it? Fierce warriors focused on compassion. Why was Jin so essential? How did they balance it with the, harsh realities of their world?
That's a great point. And it's exactly why Jin was vital. They understood strength without a moral compass. That easily becomes tyranny.
Cruelty.
Power corrupts. Benevolence meant their power had to be guided by empathy, by care for others. They were meant to be guardians, serving the greater good, not exploiter. That's a strong Confucian idea about leadership. True leaders inspire loyalty through their humanity. It wasn't just about not harming the weak. It was about actively looking out for them.
Any examples of that?
Sure. Date Mazmun, the famous one-eyed dragon of the north. Yeah, he was a formidable warrior, but also admired for his generosity. He set up systems to get food to people during famines, built schools, invested in his domain. He inspired fierce loyalty because people felt he genuinely cared.
So actions spoke louder than words.
Absolutely. And you hear countless stories of samurai sparing defeated enemies, ensuring they got proper burial, showing that winning didn't mean losing your humanity.
That's important.
For us today, Jin is about using whatever influence we have, big or small, to lift others up, looking beyond ourselves, slowing down to think about the impact of our action. Leading with benevolence builds trust way more effectively than ruling by fear.
And maybe self-compassion, too.
Definitely. It extends inward. A warrior beating themselves up constantly can't really serve others well. Saigo Takamori, the last samurai, showed incredible humanity even to his adversary. That reveals true character. It underscores that the ultimate point of having strength is to serve.
The ultimate purpose of strength is service. I'm writing that. Okay, after Jin, we get to respect. Rei, pronounced Rei.
Rei, yes.
This seems like one of the most visible virtues, the bowing, formal language. But you're saying it wasn't just about being polite, it was deeper.
Much deeper. Rei was woven into absolutely everything, and it was done with mindful intention. Every bow, every carefully chosen word wasn't just etiquette, it was a statement. I see you. I acknowledge your worth, your place in the world.
Even across ranks.
Ideally, yes. It went beyond just rank. The idea was that everyone in their role had inherent value, even in conflict, treating fallen enemies with dignity, ensuring burial that wasn't just kindness. It was about preventing endless cycles of revenge, maintaining order.
How does Rei translate today in our less formal, often more confrontational world?
Well, it means things like basic civility and disagreement. Actually listen instead of just waiting to talk. Acknowledging someone else's feeling, even if you don't agree with them. Building bridges, not burning.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But the power of respect to disarm hostility is huge. People listen when they feel respect, and includes self-respect too. Not arrogance, but holding yourself to a standard you're proud of. Living in a way that you don't have to hide from your own conscience.
Any specific samurai known for Rei?
Yagyu Munenori, a legendary swordsman, also a Zen teacher. He was known for treating everyone rival students with profound courtesy. He believed it was essential for mastering the sword without letting ego take over.
Interesting link between respect and skill.
Yeah, and Rei starts small. Daily action, how you talk to someone providing a service, how you engage online. It creates stability, predictability, fosters trust when it's often missing. That's really practical. Okay, next up, honesty. Makoto, pronounced Makoto. You mentioned it's about becoming the truth. That sounds intense. What did that really mean for a samurai? What kind of discipline?
Becoming the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it implies this deep internal alignment. Honesty, Makoto, meant total congruence. What you said, what you meant, and what you did, they all had perfect.
So no hypocrisy.
Zero tolerance for it. A samurai's word wasn't casual, it was basically an oath, binding. Their integrity was their reputation. Current. Lose it, and you back. And this demanded brutal honesty.
How so?
Self-deception. That was seen as incredibly clouds your judgment way faster. Makoto required constantfulness, both looking inward and...
Can you give an example?
Kusunokimasu, fiercely loyal warrior. There's a story where he tells his emperor, Go-Daigo, straight up, look, this battle you want me to fight, we're probably going to lose.
He actually said that. Yeah. But then he added, but I'll obey your command and I'll fight to the end. And he did. His honesty about the odds didn't make him less loyal. If anything, it showed that truth and duty could go hand in hand. It elevated both.
That takes guts.
So today, Makoto translates to transparency in business, in relationships, admitting when you screw up, communicating openly, directly in this age of carefully curated online personas.
Yeah.
Makoto challenges us to drop the masks, be authentic. It's the discipline to actually follow through on what you say you'll do. To be clear, not vague, because lies, half-truths, they create this tangled mess that just drains your energy. Truth stands on its own. It brings freedom. But importantly, it has to be balanced with kindness, tact. Truth without compassion can just be a weapon.
Right. Truth as a tool, not a club. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, building on honesty, we have honor, Mayo, pronounced Mayo. This sounds like a big one. You called it their invisible armor, their identity, their legacy.
Exactly. Mayo was everything. It wasn't just what people thought of you. It was you, your identity, built over a lifetime of living by the code. It reflected on your family, your lord. Losing honor, that was considered far worse than dying, a kind of social, spiritual death.
Worse than death, wow.
Which is why they'd go to such extremes, even seppuku, to defend it, or to wipe clean a stain on their honor. They lived as if their actions were always public, always being watched, cultivating habits that upheld their name, because that legacy was all that would remain.
So the 47 Ronin again.
Perfect example. Their revenge wasn't just loyalty or rectitude. It was fundamentally about restoring honor, their lord's honor, and by extension, their own. Better to die with integrity, they believed, than live in disgrace. That was Mayo.
Any other examples?
Futokima, a general who fought in Korea. He was known for being strict about preventing unnecessary violence against civilians. He even rebuilt local temples. He was building a legacy of fairness, not just conquest. That was about his honor, even far from home.
So how does Mayo apply now? We talk about personal brand. Is it like that?
Sort of, but deeper. It's your credibility, the trust you earn every time you keep your word, fulfill a responsibility, stand by your principles when it's tough. You're building your honor. Quietly. In our hyper-visible world, that consistency between values and actions is critical.
And owning mistakes?
Crucial for honor, accountability. It's also about that quiet discipline of doing the right thing even when no one will know, not needing applause. Choosing the honorable path when the easy, dishonorable one is right there.
Yeah.
That builds enduring trust. That's the invisible armor today.
Invisible armor. I like that. Okay, last one. Loyalty, chugi, pronounced chug. This seems central to the whole samurai image. Devotion to a lore, a cause. But given everything else, rectitude, honor, was it just blind obedience?
Critical question. And no, for the true samurai ideal, chugi was rarely blind obedience. It was a conscious choice, deliberate, aligned with all the other Bushido principles.
So not just my lord, right or wrong.
Ideally not. It was framed more like mutual respect, a shared pursuit of a just cause. Yes, in feudal Japan, it was politically necessary for stability, but ideally, it was rooted in duty, respect, shared purpose. A covenant, you could say, not a chain.
The 47 Ronin fit here too, obviously.
Perfectly. Their dedication was selfless, valuing that loyalty and the principle behind it more than their own lives. It was a conscious, agonizing choice driven by Chugi, or Yamamoto Kansuke, Takeda Shingen's strategist.
Right.
His brilliant plans are matched by his willingness to sacrifice himself for his lord's victory. He died in a charge that let Shingen's main force regroup and win. His loyalty was active, strategic, not passive.
So today, loyalty means what? Sticking by your friends, your company.
It can mean all of that.
Yeah.
Standing by colleagues, partners through tough times, staying committed to your own missions, your values, even when things get hard. And this is vital, you have to distinguish it from blind allegiance. True Bushido loyalty implies a duty to resist injustice. If your loyalty demands you violate rectitude or honor, then it's not true chu, it's something else, potentially dangerous.
So the virtues have to work together.
Exactly. Loyalty needs rectitude. It's about perseverance, staying the course, selflessness, serving something bigger than yourself without needing constant reward. And in leadership, it's reciprocal. You earn loyalty by showing it. Grounded in virtue, Chugi anchors, gives us connection in a world that feels very changed.
That's a really powerful framework. Ji, Yu, Jin, Rei, Makoto, Mayo, Chugi. It covers so much.
It really does.
The samurai, as you said, they didn't really have a choice. This was their life. But for us, it's different. It's a conscious choice.
Absolutely right. And these weren't just items on a list they memorized. They lived them, practiced them until they were second nature, part of every decision. And you see how they connect. Pull one out and the whole thing weakens.
Yeah, they reinforce each other.
They form this disciplined, yet really deeply human way of being. And let's be honest, in a world where cutting corners is easy, where compromise is often rewarded, choosing to live by principles like these, that sets you apart. It's an internal fight sometimes to keep your values solid when the world pushes against them.
It's a challenge.
It is. But these virtues aren't just museum pieces. They are potent tools for clarity, for dignity, for finding real purpose in your life right now.
So you don't need the armor, you don't need the sword to walk this path.
Not at all.
You just need to choose your principles, decide what your internal constitution is, and then refuse to abandon them, whatever the pressure.
That's the essence of it.
The samurai believed a life wasn't measured by how long it was, but by the quality of character, the strength of that code. I don't think that core truth has changed one bit.
Agreed.
So when your time comes, what will your name stand for? Will people speak of it with respect? As someone who lived with courage, honor, loyalty, someone who actually lived by their code? Or will it just fade away, lost in the noise of easy compromise?
That really brings it home. And it raises that question for you listening right now. The way of the warrior, this path of principle, it's still open. You can choose to walk it, live it. Let your life, in a way, be your sword.